I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a goal.
Do we have any guests today? I recognize most people, so I'm assuming. Okay. I have a few announcements. This is our last Zoom only meeting for the foreseeable future. So yay. The next ones are when we're meeting our club meetings, they're going to be a hybrid of Zoom if you want to Zoom and in person. I will share that we had some people who very lovely expressed frustration with the sound quality and some of the things. And so we are going to be working as an executive committee to really try and improve how we can have that optimal situation in hybrid, and so that everybody in the room can hear, everybody can hopefully hear the questions at hand, and then also people who are coming to the meeting remotely can also have an optimal experience. Obviously, I will once again ask you to kind of lean in and give us a shot to see how it goes, but we're going to do our best because we want this to go better, and we're, that's our commitment. So next week on September 30th, we have our Rotary Cubed event with Harlem and Minneapolis. Glenda Du Bois and the Social Justice Committee have coordinated the event. This is our session. We rotate quarterly with who actually does the coordination, and this one is Topeka's. Our program, we will have Michael Cates from Highland Park High School and Tawana Black from the Center for Economic Inclusion, and she's from Minneapolis. And the focus is the history of Black Wall Street and what has happened in the subsequent years after throughout our country on with social and economic policies that maybe impacted the success of the African American community, such as redlining. And so it's really good because we're looking at it from a country standpoint, but then looking at it from our three clubs area. So I think it's going to be wonderful. And Michael is a wonderful researcher and speaker. So I'm excited to be able to showcase a Topeka teacher. He teaches AP history and really kind of talk a lot about what's great about our community and the rest of the country. Those are the announcements I have for today. And so I am very honored to introduce a Rotarian who is going to introduce our speaker. And so I'm going to turn it over to you, Grace.
Thank you. I am very pleased to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Brett Robison. And please note his name. It's not Robinson, it's Robison. And Brett is the executive director of the Topeka Symphony Orchestra since May of 2021, and he is a fellow Rotarian. Brett brings an extensive background in nonprofit leadership as a former founder, artistic director, and executive director of the music nonprofit organization Scottsdale Musical Arts in Scottsdale, Arizona, where, among other things, he built and directed both youth and adult orchestra programs. Before coming to Northeast Kansas, he was a full-time assistant professor of music at Viterbo University in Wisconsin, where he directed the choral program and taught conducting, choral methods, music appreciation, and voice. Earlier in his career, he was a public school educator in music. Brett's education is very extensive and includes a Bachelor of Arts degree in music, a Master of Music in conducting, and a Doctor of Musical Arts in choral conducting. Most recently, he completed an MBA to help develop his skills for nonprofit leadership in the arts. which he has found to be his calling. Brett loves to travel, hike, read, play golf, and spend quality time with his wife, Janaea, and his 3 children, Elise, Grace, and Benjamin, and with his grandson, Lucas. And I am also pleased to tell you that Brett will be the guest conductor for the Topeka Festival Singers live holiday concert on December 20th. So I hope you can come to that. It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Brett Robison.
Oh, thank you so much, Grace. What an introduction. And I give you an A+ because every single name was pronounced correctly, which I don't think has ever happened in my life. So thank you for that. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you today. In case you don't know, again, as Grace said, I'm a Rotarian, but to be even more specific, I'm a brand new Rotarian. And so I'm still learning what that even means. And but I'm excited about, well, number one, about this particular community and getting to know you all. And I will be very excited, as it was just announced, to start meeting on a regular basis in person so that that can more easily happen. And so, please reach out anytime. And as Grace said, one of my hobbies is golf. And I'm always looking for people in my life that say, hey, Brett, we should go play, because otherwise I never do. I get too caught up in my work, in my family, but I would love, always looking for people to, I'm happy to fill out your foursome, so to speak. So please keep that in mind as well. So it's a great honor to speak today about the Topeka Symphony Orchestra. Again, I'm the new guy on the job. I've only been there for 4 months, but the 4 months have been, at least in my opinion, a wonderful, wonderful start. Primarily just because it's a wonderful, wonderful organization. And I'm excited to share information about that organization today with you. I'm looking at who's on the Zoom call. It's a little intimidating because I see that some of you probably know more about the symphony than I do. And you have quite a history with the organization. So please forgive me if I say anything that's incorrect. And at the very end, you can chime in and say, well, actually, Brett, this is the true date, or whatever it may have been that I said incorrectly. So I'm going to try and share my screen here. I have just a little presentation set to go. Let's see. Yeah, can you all see that all right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's good.
Wonderful. All right, so let's see here. So again, just honored to present today about this incredible cultural treasure, the Topeka Symphony Orchestra in Northeast Kansas. So just a little bit about the history that, again, many of you may already know, but I hope some of you didn't know all this. Founded all the way back in 1946 by a Washburn professor, Everett Fetter. At the very beginning, the Topeka Symphony was a community orchestra. So what does that mean? That means, in case you don't know, no one got paid. It was just for the love of music. And that's usually how orchestras are formed. Most orchestras don't have the sort of financial support in their, when they begin, to be able to be professional or semi-professional, and Topeka was no different. It's just people that came together, community members, and I'm sure it was very helpful to have Washburn in the community, because then you automatically have fantastic musicians as far as the professors go. And then again, of course, Lawrence is nearby, University of Kansas, you have Washburn students, and then you just have community members who have gone out and come back to Topeka and got music degrees from elsewhere. So it started off as just very passionate people that wanted to get a symphonic orchestra started in Topeka. And then down the road, and this is again a pretty common tale, to continue to allow the artistic side of things to improve, people started to get paid. And usually that begins with a few people in the orchestra, usually the conductor, and then what we call principal players. And I might talk more about that down the road. And then now we've grown into being fully professional. every single member of the orchestra is paid. I don't think you'll be surprised to hear that they're not paid a whole lot. It still is very much like the community orchestra feeling, in that they're really there for the love of music. And that's why they continue to play. And that's why we have people who, again, I'm just getting to know all these people, but some of them have played in the orchestra for 50 years. And that only happens, for because of their passion for this particular art form. And so even though, and again, as it's evolved, that has meant that it's not simply Topeka musicians, but now we even pull from students from UMKC, which is really impressive that they'll drive all the way from Kansas City to be able to play with the Topeka Symphony Orchestra. So it's really has quite the history. And again, if I have time, I can go more into that if you have questions. One, again, impressive thing to me, at least, was that the Topeka Symphony has had only 4 conductors. When you think about the fact that it was formed back in 1946, that's extremely impressive and says a lot about the community, about the orchestra, and again, just about the people that the board has hired. That these are people that, these searches, which is a process in itself, if you've ever been a part of a conductor search, it is really quite a process as far as bringing, not just the search community, but everyone weighs in, the orchestra community. I'm hearing a little bit of back there. And so we are really, really blessed to have had only 4 conductors. Turnover, like in any position, can make things a lot more difficult, and it makes it more difficult, especially artistically, to reach your goals. So, a wonderful thing. As the organization has developed, you see in 1952, the Symphony League was formed. And I know that some people on this call have been members of the league, but so it's, the league, it didn't take long for us to form a Symphony League, which again, I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along, or 1968. What we call now the Topeka Symphony Society, which is a larger umbrella, was formed in 1952. And again, I'll talk about what is actually under that umbrella. And then finally, these 3 major arms, we have the endowment trustees, which is fairly recent. In 1990, like many organizations, realized it would be in our best interest to have an endowment. And then we need people to help build that endowment as we go along. Our mission, the mission of the Topeka Symphony Society, is to encourage and cultivate appreciation and support for fine music in Northeast Kansas by presenting performances of high quality, and, because this is really important, the and part, and by providing educational and performance opportunities for youth. That is one of the things that truly makes the Topeka Symphony Society unique. If you look at a lot of other professional orchestras, they do not have a youth component. And so it really is something that makes this organization special. We'll continue to talk more about that as we go along. So again, under that larger umbrella of the Topeka Symphony Society, again, what are the programs? Well, I've talked a little bit about the Topeka Symphony Orchestra, and that's what most people know. When they go on our website or they, Grace or Betty or someone tries to recruit someone to come to one of our concerts, that and they hear Topeka Symphony, they automatically think of the orchestra. So let's talk just real quickly about the orchestra and what it has to offer. Is number one, the tradition is a 7-concert season. So you have 7 opportunities throughout each season to attend a concert. Along with that 7-concert season, there's also been the tradition to offer concerts for school-age children. They call it the School Days concert, and maybe some of you have attended that. Again, it's changed when it will be in as far as the school year, but generally around February or March. This year it's February 24th. It's an incredible program, and we usually are fortunate enough to get grant money for that because it's a free concert, and for the children. Of course, we still pay the orchestra for their time and our conductor, And so it's really wonderful that we were able to find organizations in the community that support that concert. There's also collaborations that the Symphony does with choirs. Grace mentioned earlier in my introduction that I'm going to be fortunate enough to conduct the Topeka Festival Singers. There's a history of the Symphony playing and collaborating with the Festival Singers. There actually was a symphony chorus at one time, and maybe some of you even sang in that. And we're hoping that maybe someday there'll be something like that again. So stay tuned. And then, of course, many of you have probably attended the Nutcracker productions, and many of the players from the Topeka Symphony also play in that. And there's been times where we just do run out concerts, go to different communities in Northeast Kansas and play a full concert. Now, the youth ensembles, which many people are not as familiar with, has been around again since the 1950s. 1956, I believe, was when it was founded. We have a youth orchestra, which is a full orchestra, just like the Topeka Symphony Orchestra. I should say pre-COVID. Everything's kind of on hold with all of that because of COVID. But the tradition is a full symphony orchestra, which means strings and brass and woodwinds, all that kind of wonderful stuff. Then we also have two younger orchestras that are just string orchestras that are called the Youth Philharmonic and the debut string orchestra as well. So when pre-COVID, there was 3 different youth ensembles. Then finally, this is a new program under the larger umbrella, Topeka Strings for Success, which is an opportunity for the organization to provide free lessons and eventually a free instrument for children who can't afford that in our community. And it's a wonderful collaboration that we're trying to get off the ground with the 501 school district. And so again, we're spending a lot of time this year figuring out how we should run that program, how we can fund that program. And so if you have ideas and are passionate about providing music for underserved children, please come talk to me. And I would, because this is the year where we're going to continue to figure out how we can make that program run. All right, whoops, there we go. So our team, our artistic staff, our conductor is Kyle Wiley Pickett. I always want to say Kylie because Wiley. Music director and conductor is his title. And I'm going to, hopefully my little link here will work. Yeah. So if you've never been to a symphony concert, this is, can you see that, the website? Oh, no, you can't.
No, we can't.
Okay. Well, I'll see if I can show you that picture a little bit later, but Kyle, well, actually you'll see him in a video in just a sec, so that's all right. But Kyle, again, started with us back in 2013. He is the director of not only of the Topeka Symphony Orchestra, but also conducts the Springfield Symphony Orchestra, which some people are surprised by that, but if you are familiar with the orchestral world, that actually is quite common. I actually have some colleagues that direct 3 or 4 orchestras. I don't know how they make it all work, but they do. They live on airplanes and in their car, and and so Kyle is actually really fortunate that Topeka and Springfield are not too far away. So it's a nice I think 2.5-hour drive, not too bad to pop on over to Topeka at any moment. And of course, we've all learned that, wow, we can do a lot of stuff on Zoom, as tired as we may be with Zoom. And so it's very easy for me to work with Kyle, even if he's in Springfield and stuff. So but this is going to be concert week next week. So that means Kyle will be in Topeka all week. He will be going around town presenting about the concert. And then of course be conducting rehearsals on Sunday. He does 2 rehearsals on Sundays, and then conducts rehearsals in the evenings as well. And so it'll be nice to have Kyle around because again, I haven't spent that much time with him because I'm still the new guy. So I'm looking forward to next week and just looking forward to hearing incredible live music again. And I'll talk more about that as we go along. But again, Kyle came over to our part of the world from California. He was also a conductor of the Juneau Symphony, so way up in Alaska. But as a California West Coast guy originally, and I am actually originally from Washington State, so we like to talk West Coast stuff and all the wonderful places that we've lived and visited. So and just on a personal note, if you haven't met Kyle, he is for conductors can be pretty intense people. If you know, maybe some of you can relate to some of your conductors from your past. Kyle is the friendliest, most open, warm conductor I've ever had the pleasure to work with, especially a symphonic conductor. He gives incredible presentations, and his passion is about building community, and so it's not just about like the incredible music that you'll get to hear when you go to a Topeka Symphony concert. It's about the opportunity of people coming together and being in the same room and experiencing that incredible art form together. And so, of course, that's been very different in our world for whatever it is now, last year and a half. So, of course, I have a million Facebook friends that are musicians with my background. And so it's been a lot of fun to just see all their posts of I'm making music again, and so it's getting to be fun again for everyone. All right. And then again, we are fortunate to have an assistant conductor, Raffaele Cipriano, from Italy, amazing conductor. And he actually is running also our live streaming. We have Ramiro Miranda, who teaches at Emporia State. He conducts the youth orchestra. And then Carolyn Sandquist, who's been a part of the organization for quite a long time, is our conductor of the debut in Youth Philharmonic conductor. Then there's me, that you now know about, the executive director, Kathy Mag. I know many of you know Kathy. She's served the organization for decades now as a board member, as a volunteer, and then there was a brief history is, the organization, their executive director left quite quickly. Kathy, this is her nature, said, hey, I'll be willing to help out in the short term and help things, get things running again. And then, whatever it is, 20, 30 years later, she's still in that position, what she thought would maybe just be a couple week sort of thing to help out the organization. So Kathy's, again, if you have not met Kathy, you should just stop on by. She knows, I'm so fortunate to work with someone like Kathy because she knows all the history of Topeka and of course, especially of the orchestra. And so I'm very fortunate to work with Kathy. And Andrea Stanton is a new position, even newer than me. Andrea just started a month ago as our new operations manager, which is basically the person who handles getting all the music, making sure the orchestra members have the music, hiring them all, making sure they have contracts, all that sort of work that has to be done behind the scenes. All right. So how does it work to have a symphony orchestra in your community? Number one, you have to have a board that actually gets work done, and we are really fortunate to have that here in Topeka. And again, in my short time, I've been extremely impressed with the board. We had an incredible retreat a little bit about a month ago, I guess, and just the energy in the room, the ideas. They're really excited to get things kicked off this season, and also excited about where do we go from here. It's been 75 incredible years, but how can we have another 75 incredible years after this season? So, and on a kind of personal note, I guess, our board president is Mike Morrison, so Grace Morrison's husband, and Mike has done an incredible work. And again, it really, takes a village to make this all happen. We also have an incredible league. Hopefully some of you participated in the annual gala. This year it's February 25th. If you need more information about that, you can go on the website, or you can just let me know. They're always, looking for people to donate things for the auction. They raise a lot of money for the symphony. They also provide volunteers for all of our events. And so they are absolutely vital to the health of the organization. And then, as I mentioned before, our incredible endowment, which again started in 1990 and has already raised about $1.7 million. And so that's a huge benefit for our annual budget, because of course then they give us a percentage of the interest earned on that money each quarter. And so it's really allowed us to do a lot of incredible things with our staffing and guest artists and all these sorts of things because of that money. Again, as I mentioned, we have an incredible staff, and then in which I'm really excited to continue to expand. We have amazing volunteers, and those of you that I know are on this call, it's really ultimately because of our generous, dedicated patrons. We can have all these wonderful things, but if people don't show up to the concerts, it doesn't really matter. If people don't donate to the organization, we won't exist. And we have, again, some of the most loyal, amazing patrons. And that's been, honestly, probably the funnest part of the job these first 4 months is when people come into the office, or I take a phone call to take a ticket order, just getting to know the patrons, because they are so excited about the upcoming season. And which, again, that may be like, well, of course they're excited, who wouldn't be excited about wonderful orchestral music? But I mean, this might be like the 45th season that they've attended, and they just can't wait for that first concert, because they get to go not only because of music, but they're going to go sit with their friends again, and they're going to maybe enjoy our symphony supper before the concert, and all these sorts of things. So it's fun to just see the energy, to hear it in their voices, and to meet them and you all these last 4 months. So our 2021-22 season is called Dance Mix. Just a brief summary: Kyle put together an amazing season. It's music that all of it is based upon dance. Some of it's, was written specifically for, was a ballet. And it was originally staged that way, where they had an orchestra, and then they had, a ballet company perform with them. Some of it, though, is like I'm thinking of Mahler's First Symphony, which is on the season. Mahler was constantly using dance motives in his writing, and so it's always this feeling of dance in the music, and so that's why Kyle included Mahler 1. So it's really a wonderful eclectic mix, everything from Cuban dance, really rhythmic, energetic music, to flamenco, to, again, more sort of the traditional orchestral standards that many of you have heard. And even if you looked at the program and thought, I don't really know if I know that, trust me, if you heard it, you're like, oh, I didn't know that's what it was called, but I definitely know that music. So it's a wonderful variety. And so if people are like, I've never been to a symphony concert, look at the different concerts. I would highly recommend, no matter what, go to the flamenco, because just the energy of that. The December 1st concert will have the Kansas State tap dance, I think it's troupe. Also, I've never seen something like that, to have holiday favorites being tap danced at the same time. So there's just going to be a lot of fun, unique stuff to this season. So I'm going to play, if I can, let's see if hopefully this will show.
This season, the Symphony is exploring the music of dance. We call it Dance Mix, and I'm ready for practice.
You'll hear the sound of ballet, waltz, and flamenco.
English country, Slavic music, and much more.
Sorry. Technology.
Don't miss the Homecoming Dance, featuring Stravinsky's Firebird and superstar violinist Rachel Lee Priday, October 2nd at White Concert Hall.
Hey, shake it off, Maestro.
I'll see you at the Symphony.
So there's our conductor. And so again, the concert's coming up October 2nd. And again, you could tell Kyle has a lot of fun making those commercial spots. But again, the Firebird, those of you who are familiar with Stravinsky, one of the standards, incredible piece of music. And again, just this first concert especially, you don't want to miss that with this Rachel Lee Pridey. Kyle was just telling me yesterday that this might be the finest solo musician he's ever worked with in his career. And when you have had a career like Kyle, that really is saying something. And so just come to hear Rachel Lee Pridey play the violin. And I've heard just little clips of her and was absolutely blown away. So fantastic first concert coming up. So how to participate in this, again, this large organization that I just described very quickly. Come to a concert, please come to a concert. I know some of you will be there no matter what, but if you've never been to a concert, again, like I said, Kyle is all about building community. So is the board. Please don't think of the symphony as some stuffy thing that's only for people that were raised in classical music. It's not that at all. It's a very well, there's just a large variety of audience goers. You have everything from young people to older people who maybe like had a music degree at some time, or earned a music degree sometime, and really know a lot about classical music, to people who have never been to an orchestral concert. And that excites me and Kyle the most, is to think of those people out there that have never been to an orchestral concert. The only reason I am presenting to you today is because when I was in 5th grade, we had a field trip. I grew up in the Seattle area to see the Seattle Symphony. And it was just an absolute life-changing experience. And I'm sure many of you have had that experience, to hear live music at that level. You start to get those goosebumps and you're like, what is happening here? I don't understand these feelings as a little 5th grader. That's what we want to have happen to our audience members. And so please just come out and try the symphony. And, our tickets are very reasonable, especially for young people, 25 and under. It's basically like half price. And we'll do whatever we have to do to make it affordable. In fact, if you are a new subscriber, if you buy a season subscription, it's 25% off. And so you should take advantage of that as well. You can always join our board, our league, our endowment trustees. We're always looking for new members of those 3 arms of the larger organization. You can volunteer to help out at concerts. You can donate, or you can just ask me how you can help. So there's, again, when you, as I again quickly described, there's a lot going on under this large umbrella. So we'll find work for you if you're looking for things to do. What to expect if you've never been to a concert? Of course, number one, you're going to hear incredible live music. And I think that's really important to make that distinction. I should have written that, incredible live music, because a lot of people say, well, I can hear that on Spotify or whatever streaming service or CDs you may use. It's just not the same as live music. To be in the same room, to feel the energy of the orchestra, to have the conductor come out, and hear that applause and to feel that energy, it's just not the same. It never will be. And so you can expect that. White Concert Hall, we are really, really fortunate to have an amazing venue. The acoustics are great. It doesn't matter where you sit. Sometimes you'll go to these concert halls, and I've done this where I'm like, I couldn't afford the most expensive ticket, and so I bought the $20 ticket. It's like, I can see why this was $20. This is a horrible place to sit. I can't even see the conductor, or the acoustics aren't very great. There's none of that in White Concert Hall. It all sounds fantastic. There's and again, visually you can see everything and stuff. So we're really, really fortunate to have that relationship with Washburn University, that we get to perform there. Again, like I mentioned, you're going to see a wide variety of audience members. I hope that we can continue to build our audience. I hope we can continue to bring in more young people and expose them to this incredible art form. And so please help me in doing that as well. And again, you know, people will ask, well, what do I wear? There's no dress code. Okay, just show up. We don't care. You will see people dressed up. Of course, Kyle will be in a tux. I'll probably be in a suit. But you also see people in jeans and casual, and it all works. And it's because again, we're there for the community. We're there for the music. Friendly people and stuff. Everyone, again, all the patrons I've met are super friendly. So again, just that sort of stereotype of it being stuffy, that's not my experience. And I don't think it will be ever your experience. And I know you will never get that experience from the staff nor the board. We are just glad to have you there. And then just, you know, if you've never been, it's, you know, one of the most exciting things for me whenever I go to a concert is, you know, they start to tune and you just know something's going to happen. The lights can't go down. Some boring person like me goes on stage and welcomes you to the concert. And I promise I won't talk too long. And and then we actually get to the music. And you know, the concert master stands up there and tunes the orchestra. You hear incredible music. There's usually an intermission, and then you hear the second half of incredible music. You know, under non-COVID times, there's usually like a bar. I've been told. I haven't experienced it yet. You know, so you can get a glass of wine as well. And that will come back eventually. You know, hopefully sooner than later. All right. Whoops. All right. We have a social media course, which I would really appreciate if you liked our pages. We have a Facebook page. You just type in Topeka Symphony. And then that way you can always be abreast of the upcoming concerts and the fun things that we are doing. We have an Instagram page if you're on Instagram. And I just started a TikTok page yesterday. And so I just threw up actually that video that you just watched on TikTok. And so please like any and all of these pages. Please share any of our posts and our pages as well. Other just miscellaneous, you know, things that you may not know. Of course, to be in the Topeka Symphony Orchestra, you have to audition. And so to be a new member. We just did auditions at the end of August. And so if you know of incredible musicians in the area, I do get asked that quite a bit. When can I audition for the orchestra? It's generally the end of August, maybe the very beginning of September that we do auditions. And so if you, again, please let your musician friends know that. We have we have spots every year. It depends on the year how many spots, but especially in the strings, because again, many of them are graduate students at UMKC, and eventually, good for them, they graduate. And so we need to find more string players. Auditions for the youth ensembles, again, about the same time. There's usually spring auditions, but we didn't do that this year just because of COVID. But again, we are really open to, we just want kids to be in our youth ensembles playing. So they can, even though we've kicked off the season, most of our connectors are going to be like, just come in and play. And you know, if they don't feel comfortable joining at this part of the season, they can join in for the spring semester, which would start in January. So again, if you know of any youth, just have them contact the office and we'll make sure we'll do whatever we can to get them into our youth ensemble programs. Again, like I mentioned, the TSO, unlike some orchestras, they rehearse the week leading up to the concert. And that's it. So, I mean, and that's pretty impressive to think that, wow, they only had that 1 week to make all this music happen. Of course, they get music ahead of time and they practice, but it's amazing what happens in 1 week's time to make that happen on Saturday night. I will say that also because of COVID, we now have live streaming. So if you don't feel comfortable at this point going to our concert in person, please know that we have live streaming now. It's one of those things kind of like Zoom that none of us did before, at least most of us didn't do before, but now all the orchestras I'm familiar with are live streaming because of the pandemic, and most of us will continue that because so many people said, I love this. I love the fact that, you know what, I didn't feel well tonight. I bought my ticket. I still want to be able to go to the concert. And so you can give your ticket to a friend and then you can still watch the concert at home. And so just know that that is also an option. And I will say that one thing that Kyle and the orchestra and the board are extremely proud of is, you know, again, last season was our 75th anniversary season. And again, they were still able to perform the entire season during the pandemic. It meant, you know, of course, reduced audiences, even reducing the orchestra so they could safely spread out. It meant the orchestra was masked. This season, just so you know, the orchestra, all of the orchestra is vaccinated. That's a requirement of the orchestra. And we are requiring that our audience members for the fall concerts at least, and then we'll revisit this as we go along. All the audience will be expected to be masked to attend the concerts, and then we will also be asking that we continue to distance in the hall. So please get your tickets now, because we have to limit the audience for these first few concerts to 500 so that we can safely a distance and stuff. So that is a little bit unique, of course, but I'm sure none of you are shocked and like, whoa, I've never thought like you would have to do that, you know, because again, we want to keep you safe and we want to keep the orchestra safe. And so that will be what we will be doing, at least again for the October, November, and December concerts. And then again, luckily we have two doctors, incredible doctors on our board that will help us continue to move through these murky waters that are COVID as we continue this season. So please do get your tickets soon, because they will probably, you know, we'll all have to stop the sales at pretty soon, just to keep us safe. All right, you know, and these were just a few things. If I had time, I'm just want to be respectful of all your time. It looks like I've covered actually most of this anyways. So actually, I would rather skip that and ask if any of you have questions at this time. I'm gonna stop sharing this so I can see you all. Again, I went really fast because there was a lot to cover. I hope it wasn't too fast. There's just so much to this organization, which is exactly why I love working there, because it's never boring. Oh yeah, Grace, I see your hand.
Thank you. First of all, fantastic presentation. This is not a planted question. I want you all to know. You had mentioned donations to the orchestra, and there are 3 entities, right? So if somebody was going to give some money, where do you give the money?
Yeah, I mean,
what would be most advisable?
Selfishly, I would hope that you would give it to our annual fund at this point, because we have just kicked off an 80K in 8 weeks drive. The tradition has been that our annual fund is in the summer, but because I came in the summer and again, everything's been a little bit skewed and delayed because of COVID, we've moved the annual drive, or the annual fund drive, excuse me, to the fall. So I created quite an ambitious goal of 80,000 in 8 weeks. So please help me reach our goal. And so you can go on the website, you know, and there's a donate section there. Also on our social media, I've posted about donating. So there, you know, and again, you can always send in a check. Some people don't feel comfortable donating online. And if you send in a check, of course, that will you'll be recognized in our program. And of course, that will go towards the fall annual fund drive. So thank you, Grace, for asking that.
And is that to this society, or I mean, how would you make that, or just Topeka
Just
Symphony
Topeka
Orchestra?
Symphony, yeah, just to Topeka Symphony, exactly. I mean, if you write out Topeka Symphony Orchestra, Topeka Symphony Society, it will all go to the same place. Yeah. And you know, and I will say that again, because some people are like, I'm really passionate about the youth programs. You know, I want to financially support the youth programs. Well, again, you financially support the youth programs by donating to the larger organization. The larger organization is what controls and, you know, hires these incredible conductors for the youth programs, pays those conductors, you know, rents the space, all that sort of stuff comes out of the larger budget to make that. So there's not like separate, you know, bank accounts, as you know, that control these different parts of the organization. Are there any other questions?
We have time for maybe one more.
I don't know if
So because Brett is one of our fellow Rotarians, you are welcome to sit with him at lunch and ask questions as we go into our hybrid mode. And Brett, thank you so much. This was wonderful. I really appreciate it. As a mom of a son who played a bassoon through high school, you know, I work with several people at the library. I work with several people who have been in the symphony at one time or another. This is just wonderful. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. This was great.
Thank you.
I'm going to move into other announcements. I was just going to open it up. So this is just going to be really quick. Does anybody have anything they want to share in terms of an announcement with the club? Because I do have one that Terry Wages offered up. Is there anybody who wants to share something before I move in? Okay. Terry Wages received 2 tickets to a chorus line for his son, and he's not able to use them. And so they are available, and they are at the will call desk for this weekend. If you are interested in getting that and being able to get those tickets, why don't you let me know? Email me right away, and then that way I can make sure that it's just one couple. But they are available for this weekend for a chorus line. So, and they're at the will call desk at TPAC. So just send me an email if you're interested in seeing the performance, because I know it's going to be amazing. Our next meeting is, as I said, is our September 30th, which is the Rotary Cubed event. And then our next regular lunch meeting will be hybrid. And the speaker is Steve Grant with Sports World. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So please remember to come in when you come into our in-person. Please wear a mask. Please wear your mask except for when you're eating. I've had a couple of people express that they're super happy that we are going to be in person, but also there's still the need to make sure that we're masked. So if everybody does it, then we can have more people join, and I'm excited about that. If those are all the announcements I have, let's start with the 4-way test. So of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And will it be fun and kind? So thank you very much, everybody, and hope to see you in person in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.